Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Balls Deep podcast.
Welcome everyone. It's great to have you here.
It is. Where is here, Scott?
A bit of an odd location. First for us, we're in Brussels Airport, connecting through here. We came from, where did we come from? We came from Nice in France, and we're connecting through here. And we'll tell you why we're doing that in a moment, but there might be quite a lot of background noise, so fingers crossed we're going to be okay.
And we're also going to have to keep stopping it because one thing that we didn't factor in was that in airports there's a lot of announcements. So we just had to wait for about 10 minutes straight of, we are now boarding through gate number. Yeah. We welcome the passengers who are seated in rows.
Yeah, they said we welcome our priority members about 3 times.
They did, and then they were like, and we are now welcoming passengers seated in rows.
Yeah.
1 to 15 or whatever. Like, so it's just going to be a lot of that. So we're going to have to pause and chop and change, but it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It's always fine.
It's always fine. Oh my God.
Here we go. So Scott's just made an interesting point to me in the interim when we paused it there that we need to, if we're recording future episodes in an airport, then we need to be not next to the gate where there's constant announcement.
No. And it's first time, but yeah, if we're not near the gates, because they're not going to do those level of alert announcements today. So, because when we just had a nice meal in the wherever they're not with the gates, and it was quite quiet except for people.
So you live, you learn.
You live, you learn.
We are trialing a new format to our podcast, aren't we, Scott?
We are. We're gonna. We want to try build the exposure. There's a couple of things in the background that we're doing, but on top of that, what we're going to do is we're now going to do 30-minute episodes. Reason for this is we've seen an increase in, that shorter content. I'm always a fan of long content, and I really do love the podcasts that do those 2-hour, 3-hour podcasts that really deep dive into topics. But I think with our style, I think 30 minutes works fine because whilst we might get deep, it's more sort of general about our life and sort of things that we experience. So I think it's easier to sort of chop that into 30 minutes. And I think also with the demand these days, 30 minutes is just a lot more attractive to the viewers. So, and it also allows us to, from a scalable model, it allows us to actually duplicate the amount of episodes we put out there with the same amount of effort. So we're always thinking about how can we scale this and make this, drive the exposure, but with the same or less effort, because you got to think about what's scalable. And this is it. So we're going to have 30-minute episodes, and keep an eye out for our shorts, because we will be doing double the amount of shorts now, 2 shorts a week. So yeah, keep an eye out for them as well.
Very exciting. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully it's I think it just seems to make sense. So a lot of the podcasts that I listen to now, like you said, I'm happy to listen to long form, but I'm happy to listen to shorter ones. That Diary of a CEO actually puts out some 10-minute episodes, but he also puts out 4-hour long episodes. So I think it'll be interesting to see the variety, the change, I guess, from an hour to, we never stick to an hour, so let's just hope we can stick to 30 minutes.
No, I think we've got to be strict with this 30 minutes. Yeah. Otherwise we're gonna double the work, not maintain the same efforts.
Definitely. But we've had a lovely few days in the south of France, so we can tell you all about that. So the reason that we've been here is for a friend's wedding, which is very nice. It was in a beautiful chateau. We're about an hour from Nice, I think, itself. A 45-minute drive to the airport. No,
I think more like, to the airport, 45 minutes, I think Nice town maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah. So,
or maybe long, yeah.
It's really beautiful. We actually ended up flying in from Munich, which the flight itself was stunning. So we ended up going through the Alps, which, snow-capped mountains, and then seeing the coastline of Nice was stunning. And we just had a beautiful 3 days. We rented an Airbnb. It had a pool and a dog.
We did.
Which is great.
Shelby loves, a lot of things in life, and two of those things is swimming and dogs. So
Yeah, so having a pool and a dog is
she was a very happy girl.
much.
Very happy.
I put a picture of the dog in the family chat, and my mom was like, "You always manage to find a dog," and I was like, "No, the dogs find me." So yeah, very nice. Doggo pool, great.
Doggo pool is great. And like we were saying, the reason we were there was for a friend's wedding, and it was quite interesting because obviously a wedding is usually done in a church, and then you go to a venue after to have a bit of a party. But this is quite different. They rented out an Airbnb, and it was, really worth the cost. I'm not gonna share the cost here, but it was very for what they got, it was very affordable. This was more like a hotel than a chateau. When I say the word chateau, how many rooms do you think it had?
I think it could accommodate 18 people.
So 18 people, and when we say 18, it's not just like 18 beds in a couple of rooms. It is about four floors.
Yeah, 3 or 4 floors.
I think it had 4 floors. It is, honestly, it was just picture a hotel of 18 rooms. It was that.
Yeah, it had a library, they had games in.
Yeah, library, full massive kitchen.
It had a pool.
Multiple front rooms. Pool.
I think it has a chapel. I'm sure they mentioned a chapel.
A chapel?
Yeah, because the bride mentioned to me about on the last night when we were struggling to get an Uber, she said that there's a chapel and there's a bed in it if you want to stay. And I'm sure they were having pictures there at the chapel. We stayed in the chapel.
I didn't know that. We chose not to stay. We were going to stay there for a couple of days, but we actually had to choose not to because the internet sadly didn't work. And, with me and Shelby working remotely, that just was never going to work out. So sadly, and with mobile data, it also didn't. But anyway, I must say, just one note is the toilet next to the pool was a great toilet.
The toilet next to the pool was a great toilet.
Wasn't it, Shelby?
It was, yeah.
A lot of space, well tiled. You could do all sorts of activities in that toilet.
It was a good toilet.
I'm sure if someone had a couple of drinks, I'm sure they could have a lot of fun in that toilet.
They probably could.
But we'll leave that there. But yeah, it is pretty impressive. It is pretty impressive, and with, what I find interesting about it is that, there's always a pressure to have the perfect wedding, to have the, to have everything immaculate. Even, the groom was saying, when they're speaking to wedding planners, they were asking what cutlery do you want? And when he really reviewed that, he was like, I don't give a fuck what cutlery I want. So, and they just realised that why on earth would you spend all this money on things that people don't care? You don't go to a wedding and go, God, those forks were crap. They weren't embossed with their initials. You go there for a good time to connect to people, time to, just really enjoy that moment. And because this was just an Airbnb for a week, and they obviously got married on the Sunday, we just had back-to-back really fun parties. We had a Gatsby party, which we realised dressing up in Gatsby attire is the most fun thing ever.
Totally. I think that we should just start going out in Leeds in those outfits.
Yeah, honestly, go to a Gatsby night. It's really quite fun. Getting the pocket watch, getting the braces for me, and then you getting the flapper dress and the feather in the hat, in the hair. You feel it's really quite cool.
How good would it be? Taylor's Bar in Leeds.
Yes.
For those that don't know, Taylor's Bar is next to the Grand Arcade. It's in the Grand Arcade next to the Grand Theatre, and it's a Taylor. Well, I don't know if that's just the story. If it is, is it actually a Taylor's during the day?
Yeah, no, it totally is. My barber's opposite. I see it all the time. Yeah, it
okay,
is,
so it's a Taylor's during the day, but it turns into a speakeasy gym bar at night. We went on our. We did go in there on our first date.
We did, yeah. That was the first bar we had.
No, we went on Colleen first, but before
we did,
Domino we went.
And then before Domino's we went.
Yeah. So
this is
You go on, what?
Yeah, so Taylor's is a cool place.
But that's very Gatsby-esque, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of is,
You've got dogs in suits in wallpaper in the toilets.
Yes.
But you can try on loads of outfits. Do you remember? They've got waistcoats, they've got
I got one.
Full hats. You did. You went home with one,
I gave him my idea, and I think I gave him my idea, and so they allow you a jacket. If you want a jacket for the night.
Yeah. You're not supposed to take it out and about. I think we just taught them into that.
No, you give your idea, and they give you.
No.
That's the rack is there for you to.
Yeah. No. So when you're in the bar, you can just take it and wear it. But then we realised how cold it was, and that we were going to be going out around Leeds for the night. And I just said to him, if we leave an ID, can we take the jacket? and then they sort of agreed to it. But that's not the norm. That's not something
thought that was
no,
what you do.
That's just
I thought
because
that was like a unique point.
I think you rushed out of the house because you were going to miss the train and you didn't have a jacket. And then when we were in there, it was
There's
literally
me rushing to my first date as if
No,
I
that
wasn't
wasn't
prepared. Oh my god.
I think that was a different night. To be fair, it wasn't on our first date night.
No, I think I got the jacket on that.
No
Oh
way.
no, because we didn't. We just went straight into Domino's, then,
Yeah.
didn't we? So yeah.
So it was on like a later date that we did. Well, not, I think we were together by that point because I'm pretty sure I don't think you had your ID on you either. So like I think I left my driver's license.
Yeah, that's why I was not sure if it was mine.
Yeah.
It was almost certain it was just yeah.
But we, because it was definitely not the norm, because I can remember the guy behind the bar being, like, chatting to the girl and being like, yeah, alright, I suppose. But then we forgot to go back, or we didn't get back before it closed. It was New Year's Eve. Would it be New Year's Eve?
I don't think we went there New Year's Eve. No, anyway.
It was a night in Leeds.
It was a night in Leeds. I've actually got a really pretty gnarly story, pretty wild story to tell you about those people in Taylor's. I'm putting them. So that woman and guy you just you alluded to. This is pretty weird. So this girl fancied. So she was working there. He was working there, and she fancied this guy. You know, she fancied the waiter. So she wanted to, was wondering, how do I express this to him? You know, do I ask him out on a date or what? And what she decided to do after about 6 months of just not knowing what to do, because he never asked her out. She decided, and just, this is real what I'm about to say, she decided to create a 12 slide deck. That's right, a 12 slide deck you present on a Monday morning, your reports in a business meeting. She created this, and they've known each other for about 6 months in this job. And she took this to work with her laptop, and she sat him down and she presented a 12 slide deck of how much she loves him and how much she would love to be with him. This guy didn't even, he probably had an inkling she liked him, but had never, they've never been on a date. They'd never, confessed anything to them. And the first time she's confessing is a 12 slide deck, which is an interesting move. Naturally, I think he actually left. He was a bit freaked out, but
That's a pretty ballsy move, isn't it? It's not just like I fancy you, it's here's all the reasons why.
I don't know if she's a sweet. I don't know anything about her, so I can't. It's hard to say, but from my point of view, if I was a guy, I'd think she's psychotic. I think she's, probably got on the 12th slide how she's going to spread me on the floor and chop my arms off. So maybe there was a slide she decided to take out. But it blew my mind to know someone correct. You could do that as a laugh, like if you're in a relationship, maybe for an anniversary, like hear all the nice
I
moments.
think if we did that for each other now, then it wouldn't be that strange, I don't think.
No, it'd be like hear all our nice moments, photos and, quotes and stuff, sure, but to ask someone out on a date, a 12 slide deck of how much I like you and photos of them, like, at work, like, what? So, sadly it didn't work out.
Oh yeah, clearly. Well, we got a little bit sidetracked there, but that was all because of the Great Gatsby at the wedding. But everything about the wedding was absolutely stunning. It was just so, like you were saying, they managed to do it, a lot of it themselves. Like, it was catered by the bride and her family. They made all the food, every bit, which, it seems like it would have been a very stressful endeavour, but they did such a great job.
I spent the entire day before the wedding itself.
And it was a very, as well as it being a beautiful setting, it was quite a unique setting with lots of history, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that was another fun fact. So the Hitler's one of the main guy who ran the whole propaganda campaign for Hitler, basically the marketing manager for Hitler, Joseph Goebbels. By the way, I just want to preface this: my friend is not a Nazi, and
I don't think they knew this information.
They did not know this information. We are not. We do not align with anything like that. But there was obviously there were plaques, there were photos that sort of spoke about the history of the place. And we were intrigued. We read them. There were books there were documents. There was a lot of memorabilia that had been left about. I'm quite trusting, I must say, because this was, as we learned, there's some pretty cool stuff. And we read it all up, and we realised that it was basically a homestay for a lot of very high-ranking Nazi generals, and Joseph Goebbels being one of them. And there were photos of Joseph Goebbels with his wife, and I'll be honest, the photos looked like they got married there.
Quite possible.
So we were like, I can't believe no one said it in the speech, but like, what a great venue you've chosen. You've chosen a place where, Hitler's right-hand man got married. So that was like a weird sort of, we just laughed about it, but it was just like a really weird vibe to like just see all these photos and the stuff we read like within the place as well. It was basically saying, Nazism isn't all that bad. They didn't outright say it, but it was sort of talking more positively about it. So, yeah, it was. And you found some really cool documents.
Yeah, so in the library, we were sat playing chess and poker, and I noticed that there were these drawers. So I just opened them, and it got loads of documents from. I want to say his name was like Alain Paul or something like that. He was the interim president of France after Charles de Gaulle. In the, I think it was late 50s. And it had like his letter that he wrote to, like his expression of interest, I guess, in application to be the president. And then there was like a little like newspaper about his policy, like his manifesto and things like that. And loads of handwritten documents as well. I took photos of all of them. So there's just, heaps of interesting, like there was a wardrobe full of clothes. It was 100% haunted. Like 100%.
I think that was probably best why we didn't stay there, to be honest. There was an Olympic jacket there was an Athens Olympic jacket in the wardrobe. There was really like amazing coins, which I took the photos of. But yeah, and then loads of old tin. I must say it was very tempting to steal a lot of things, but I promise you we did not. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had a bit of a freaky experience. Didn't I?
You did. Yes, you did have a freak experience.
I think it was.
Yes, I think so. Yes, it was. Yes, because it was your Gatsby scar. It was the sequence.
And that was the night as well. Oh no, it was the last night that it was super foggy. But anyway, we arrived and I came out of the house wearing a black scarf and other clothes, to be clear. But I had a black scarf around my neck. It was my mum's, and we got out the taxi, and I was like, oh, where's my scarf gone? Like, it was full on wrapped around my neck, like, not just hanging, like tied around my neck. I thought, right, has it come off and it's got in my bag? Oh no, I can't find it. Quick, Scott, chase the Uber, and the Uber full on mugged you off because
I was like chasing him, and he would stop, and then he would start going again. He'd stop. He did this about
you'd
5
like
times.
Run, he'd stop, and then so you'd stop, and then he'd set off
and then
again.
he'd set off again. Yeah, I was like, what is he doing?
But you had a look in the taxi. Obviously, it wasn't there. And then he came back and was like, oh, well, maybe I've made a mistake. Maybe I've put it down in the Airbnb before we came out. Although I distinctly remember putting it on. And then I could see this black thing on the floor that was probably like 3 meters away from where we got dropped. So, like, not exactly close and definitely not where we'd stood.
It was like under a tree.
Yeah.
Like, totally away from... We hadn't even stood there.
No.
There was no wind either.
Yeah,
there was no wind the entire time we were in these.
And that was my scarf on the floor there. So, yeah, it's 100% haunted.
Wow.
There's no question in my... Also, I didn't tell you this, but you know the toilet near the library?
Yes.
Like, there's like... So on one side of the staircase there's a toilet, and on the other side of the staircase was like the bath and sink to wash hands. But I went in the toilet, and when I came out, like, I pulled the door towards me to open it, and there was definitely a pull back on the other side.
Oh, God.
100% a pull back on the other side. But I was just like, stop it now.
Oh, my.
And then it... Yeah.
That is a bit scary. It makes sense, doesn't it? It's had a bunch of Nazi generals there. It's had Charles de Gaulle has been there. Napoleon had been there.
Yeah, Napoleon.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that was a... Yeah,
so it's got a really rich history.
Rich history with, a lot of crazy history, yeah. I think in short, it was an amazing wedding, and I think it just goes to show, you don't have to rub your ego, and you don't have to follow the norm to do this princess wedding and
stunning.
spend
Absolutely
20
stunning.
plus K, whereas they spent a fraction of that and you wouldn't have known it, and it was amazing. It was in this beautiful place. It had everyone, and because we were all there for multiple days, I really connected with the friends and family. Like, you know, we had a deep conversation with his gran and granddad. Like,
I played piano with his granddad.
You played piano with your like,
beautiful.
that would just never happen at a wedding party. You know, the DJ would be going on, the lights would be going on. You'd stick more to your mates who you know. Like, you wouldn't have those conversations. But because it was over multiple days, you had those more connections with people, and you really got to connect. And isn't that what it's about? It's sharing that love. It's bringing the families together, and it's showing, hey, this is, you know, my, you know, people, and these are my people. Like, you know, we love each other, and we're bringing everyone together because of that. Like, everyone should connect. I just think that's what it's all about. So, you know, I think that's definitely given me food for thought. I don't know if I could go as far as running it myself. I found that a bit stressful watching them, even though they nailed it. I found that a bit stressful just because I was like, even them going to the altar, they were positioning the people, they were putting the chairs down. Like 5 minutes before the bride was coming down, they were still like saying, do this, do that. I was like, I don't want to be doing that. Like, I'd want someone to take control of that bit. I'd rather just stay. The
flowers, the bride went into town, I think the day before or 2 days before, and was like, I'll take all of your white flowers, what have you got? And they really rallied, and they're beautiful flowers.
They're stunning.
They got the harpist the day of.
No, did they really?
I think she'd spoken to her the day or 2 days before again, but it was only confirmed on the day of.
Wow, I didn't know that.
She was fantastic. And
yeah,
she even
beautiful.
Had a dress that matched the wedding, like she was in green like the bridesmaids.
Yeah, that was a really nice touch harpist. That's something I would look at getting. I think the harpist was great.
And she sang.
Yes, she sang. She was great. But yeah, I think really, and also I always say I feel like I've seen an increase of weddings abroad. Mm-hmm. I can definitely speak from our circles. I mean, what we've been invited to, 1, 2, a third one's going to come up. We've been invited to 3 abroad weddings in 2 this year, 1 next year.
Yeah.
So
my brother got married abroad.
Your brother got married abroad, so I'm seeing an increase in that. But at the same time, I feel like you're also seeing a decrease in just weddings generally. I think a lot of people are just not seeing the point in them and just seeing them as more interested in saving their money for, you know, just for a house. And
it's something like, you know, us personally, we have many conversations about will we, won't we get married? Is there a point? Do we want the ceremony as like a celebration? Whereas I personally take a lot of issue in traditional like wedding traditions. Like, you know, the father giving away the bride, wearing white, wearing a veil, taking the husband's last name, all these kinds of things. Like, as a feminist, I take big issue with. So that would sway me away from like a traditional wedding, personally. But then, you know, we've spoken about if we were to do something, then, you know, would we want a celebration of our love with our family? And would it be a wedding? Would it be something else? I don't know. And I think a lot of people are sort of struggling to see the necessity in having marriage and seeing it more as like a piece of paper.
No, I agree. Sorry, I got a little distracted there because I've just watched a woman sprint shouting, sorry, and everyone's boarded. And they've closed the gate, so I don't know if she's even here in time, but she keeps sprinting, going, sorry. And they're not letting her on yet. Hopefully she's going to get on, but anyway, got a bit distracted by that. Oh no, she's going on. Good.
That is good.
Her and her daughter are getting on. It's funny because her daughter just went, I'm not going to run, and she just walked over. Brilliant.
That'll be me and you.
That would be, yeah. And just to be clear, I'd be the running one, yeah. So yeah, it's no, I agree with you, baby. It's. I think the more woke we become, the more difficult it is to make decisions. Yeah. Because I think we're starting to question a lot of things. Therefore, it's making decisions for normal things and just general things a lot harder now because we're starting to question them. So, it's an interesting one.
It is.
To be determined. And we're not nearly already at 30 minutes. Oh my goodness! But Shelby wants to share quite an interesting new thing about. Maybe it's an ADHD trait. Maybe it's not.
Yes.
I know everyone's pre-diagnosed with ADHD these days, but we have both learnt something about ourselves, and it hasn't been told to us. We've just learnt this. I think you learnt it from a video.
I did, yeah.
Whereas to be fair, that video may have prompted me, but I've sort of gone and tried it out myself, and oh my god, it works.
Yeah. So, just on a brief side note about the old ADHD and everyone having, there's a guy like opening out up bags and bins to fill the bins, if you could hear that in the background. But related to ADHD, and people, saying that everyone seems to have it these days, and why would you chase a diagnosis? If it is the case, then why does it matter? And I saw something that said, well, it's not that, I need the diagnosis to confirm it, but I'd rather know that I'm a normal zebra than a weird horse.
A normal zebra than a weird horse.
Yeah. So, like, like myself, who, full disclosure, I'm 100% sure that I have ADHD. And I am awaiting a confirmation on that. Whereas some people might be like, well, why would you want that or need it? And it's like saying, because I know that my brain works differently, and I struggle with a lot of things where people don't struggle. And that being said, I think I've got strengths where others don't have strengths. But if I don't have it, then I'm just, to my mind, like, faulty as a person. Like, my brain isn't working properly. And if it's not because of ADHD, then it's just because I'm rubbish. Whereas, if I do have ADHD, then it's not that I'm rubbish. I'm just judging myself by a different standard. Like, I'm not a horse, I'm a zebra. So, I saw a video on TikTok or Facebook or something like that. And there was this woman, and she was describing what it feels like to have like a neurodivergent brain or neurodiverse brain. I'm not sure which is the correct term to use there. Saying how, like, people with ADHD, like, they're easily distracted, and, like, but they seek out novel experiences, and, like, they want to be entertained. They're seeking that dopamine rush. And when she described it as needing to use 100% of her brain. So, like, if you're doing a task that's really difficult, then you need silence. Like, if you've really got to focus, like, if you're doing something like writing a dissertation, or, like, you're trying to figure out a really complex equation or something like that, then you need absolute silence, because that's taking up 100% of your mental capacity. Whereas if you're doing something really boring, or something that really doesn't take a lot of thought, then she was saying that, she needed to have background music on, because that fills up the surplus. Like, if you're tidying or something like that, then you can't do that because it's only using, like, 20% of your brain, and she needs to use 100% of her brain all the time. She needs that to be fully engaged, to be buzzing. And so having, like, a podcast on, having some music on, having a conversation, that then makes that task easier. So it's all about that, like, using everything, using all of your attention, which I thought was really interesting, and I can definitely resonate.
Have you implemented it?
Yeah, well, I feel like it's something I always have done. Like, I don't think it's something that I've implemented, as such as I've noticed that if I'm doing a boring, like when I'm tidying my room, I put on I think it's called The Home Edit on Netflix. There's these two women that go in, and, like, every episode there's, like, a celebrity and a normal person whose house they organise. And I love sticking that on while I'm tidying my room, because it's like, tidying my room is, like, mind-numbing and boring and doesn't take much thought. I mean, it takes thought in the sense that I find it really difficult, but it's, like, not intellectually stimulating. So I need that, like, background noise. Or if I'm just, like, coming up with concepts for my essays, then I'd want music on to fill in that surplus. Is that something you've experienced?
Yeah, no, I do it all the time. So for cleaning, I would listen to a podcast, or, like, organising things, I'd listen to a podcast. Packing, I can not necessarily listen to... I can listen to a podcast if I want to do it slowly, because packing can actually be quite complicated. But the thing that I've learned most recently is for work, because, staying focused on work items is difficult on a daily. So what I've started to pick up just from like noises in the background, especially like working in hotels and abroad with all these aircon units. I've started to realize when I turned off the aircon units, maybe midday when I'm, still working, I've noticed just a change in my focus, and I've not understood why. Then finally, it clicked this sort of a couple of weeks ago that constant noise of something. I've just found a fan that is mostly that thing helps with most tasks, because it's that. The way I look at it, whether it's scientifically, I don't know, but is that a lot of tasks only apply 80% of my brain, and I need that other 20% to be filled, and that fan fills it. I've got quite a simple brain, apparently. So now I've gotten to the point where I now put a 12-hour video of a fan on my laptop playing out, and I have it, on for most tasks, and it really helps me concentrate. When I was younger, I could listen to a lot of music, even podcasts when I'm working. I don't have the capacity to do that anymore. I've also found when I've mentioned it to people at my age, they say the exact same thing. So I don't know what that means. You think maybe that means you get distracted more, which is interesting. You think you'd get distracted more at a younger age, but yeah, I used to be able to do complex tasks with like full-on podcasts in my ears. Now there's just no way. I can't. There's no way. Even sometimes organizing things or like cleaning the house, I've struggled to do a podcast because I just can't unless it would have to be a task I'd have set. Even that, I don't know. The second it gets to a podcast, there's little it would have to be the simplest task ever.
Well, do you listen to podcasts when you run?
Yes, I do. Podcasts, audibles, yeah. That's easy because I'm just one foot in front of the other.
Exactly. So that's the same. I listen to podcasts when I run because, for me, it's because I want a distraction because I don't enjoy running. So it's like I need something to fully occupy my mind to distract it from the running. But equally, it doesn't take any mental thought, does it, running? Like, say, it's just one foot in front of the other. And then that's that.
Exactly. So give it a go. I reckon get a 12-hour fan on your laptop. Give it a go. If you're struggling to concentrate one day, have a go. If you're still struggling, try something called Alpha Brain. It's based in the US. They're called Onnit, I believe, the company. They do lots of interesting. It's very highly recommended. But anyway, they have these pills called Alpha Brain. And they do help with focus as well. It's not anything crazy like Ritalin or anything. It's nothing like that. It's a lot more calm. And obviously I don't recommend to take it on a daily. And I'm not a doctor. Just to be very clear, please do consult your GP. I'm nowhere near a GP, but I found that to be it's like a nootropic. It's just some natural remedies. But I've actually
ginkgo biloba, something like
I've
that.
actually found it to have quite a positive impact on my concentration.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, first 30-minute episode done. We would like to thank you for taking a break from your day to get balls deep with us. Until next time, remember,
stay ballsy.
Dive deep, but don't forget your snorkel.
Balls deep.